Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about thumbnails. Not these kinds of thumbnails, although they do have relevance, but these kinds of thumbnails. I'm Trin Johnson, and welcome to Dust in My Eye. Today's camera apps have such good editing programs that you can do an awful lot on them. But not everybody has access to that, or not necessarily all the same kind of editing. And sometimes you're using a picture or a photo that is hard copy and you don't have it digitally. Now, this first sheet of thumbnails is marker sketches. They're with alcohol-based markers. And you can see I was testing out some of the colors down at the bottom and then working out what I was going to do compositionally and also color-wise. That's one reason to use thumbnails, is trying to test out your color. This is another session where I was trying to use different colors. You can see that the composition basically stays the same, but the color changes a little bit. It's very useful to do this when you're trying to work out something that you want to paint. This one is mostly composition that's changing. You can see I've made little notes. It's as is, the horizon lowered, more extreme height contrasts. But basically the composition, or the colors stay the same. This one, you can see that I did it in tonal values first to figure out what my values would be in my painting. And then down here, I was fooling around with color a little bit to see how that worked. This is just purely laying out to get composition. I was trying to put different pieces together on one sheet of paper, and I tried it a couple different ways, well, 4 different ways. I tried that. And then on this page, I tried a couple for each thing that I was working on. And that helped me work out what I might want to do. Now in this page, these were all scenes from Ireland that I saved that I was just kind of sketching to get ideas again, compositionally and also tonal values. And that was quite useful also. On this page, I used a little sepia, looks like a crayon, to get down some marks to get an understanding of where the tonal values were in this page. Now this one, or in this photo, a reference photo, this reference photo, I did a no-tan of. And a no-tan, the difference between a no-tan and a regular thumbnail is a no-tan is just black and white. It's either black or it's white. There's no in-between tones. You're just kind of getting the idea of how the values lay out, the dark and the light value lays out on your page. And it's nice if it can all connect. And you do it by squinting your eyes, and you look at a photo and you say it's either dark there or it's a light value there. And sometimes with the medium ones, you have to decide whether to treat them as a dark value or treat them as a light value, and how it will help compositionally on your painting. Now, I'm just going to do a few here. I've got some pictures picked out, and the first one, this is the original photo, and I like the general layout, but there are things that I don't like about it. First of all, it's crooked, so I'm going to straighten that out. Secondly, I don't like these little trees that are hiding behind there, so I'm going to nix those on my thumbnails. And I don't really need this business over here, especially this little tree there. That doesn't really work for me. The other thing I'm looking at is I don't like the way the fence post lines up with that tree. So that's another thing I'm looking at. So to begin with, I took this photo and I went into my phone's photo app and I did some cropping. And you can see I got rid of the stuff over here. I can't get rid of that because it's a photo, generally speaking, and I can't move that. That especially I cannot do. My phone does have the ability to take things out, and I could probably get rid of that in my reference photo. Not all phones do that, and it really doesn't matter to me if that's out or not in this instance. But I would like to test moving that around. So that's the first one I'm going to do. The second one, let me move this so you can really see it. Once again, I took out the stuff at the side. I changed it to a portrait, which is another thing to do on a thumbnail to test things out. I'm still going to get rid of those trees. I still don't like those. And I still want to move this fence post. I might add more than one fence post. Now, we're going to go ahead and do these thumbnails, and then I'll show you the other one I have. I have made these little cheat sheets that help me draw boxes, and I find that I like that because it makes it easier to get started. So it's proportional to this sheet of paper. So if I was going to do a full art on this piece of paper, a big sketch, this would be proportional to it. That's why I have that. And then I'm going to do this other one in portrait mode. So let me just get that on there too while I'm at it. Now you can do more than two. If you're trying something out and you think, well, what if I do this? Well, what if I do that? Feel free to keep going. You don't have to just stop at one. Let me take this one. This is the first one I'm going to try, and let me make sure you can see it. That would make it easier. There we go. Let's just pop this down like that. Okay, so I'm going to do that in this box. Now, when you're doing composition, when you're trying to figure out a composition, a good rule of thumb for a thumbnail is the rule of 3. And you want to divide your page in 3 on both directions. And then what you want is if there's a horizon line, it should line up somewhere around this or this. And if your focal points should line up somewhere, it should be somewhere in where these lines meet. Generally speaking, I'm a rule breaker, so I don't always follow that, but that's a good rule of thumb. The reason these are called thumbnails is because they used to be, or they can be, or often are, the size of your thumb. So they're just little bitty boxes. I tend to do them a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. But I am using this really big lead on this in this pen because it keeps me from getting too finicky, and I don't want to get finicky. So let's get going here. So I'm just going to, that's my horizon line. It's got some trees and things going on back there. I'm not going to do that funny little tree. It will be straightened out, not real straight right now though, is it? Then this is the little land mass that kind of comes out, and I don't remember if it was an island or if it was just a little jetty of land. And then this other land. Well, let's do the here. Let's do the fence. Kind of comes in, goes across. Don't have to get real fancy with these. Don't have to get real picky. It just doesn't matter. It's just a thumbnail. So that's basically my fence. Okay, so there's a tree right about here that comes up and goes over here. There's another one over here. And it's got another dead kind of one by it. And then this one over here. That one's got some parts that come off there. There's some twiggy ones that come up over top here. Some ones over here. Some dead branches. They're kind of cool. Some more branches off the tree. Then there's a bunch of grass on this islandy thing. I'm not going to do the ones that are coming in over here. We're just going to pretend they're not there. We're going to do the ones that are here, though. They're kind of coming from behind the fence and sticking up a little bit. A little more over here, some sticky things. Some growing up in front of the fence. Okay, now the real crux of the matter, I don't want that fence post right there. I don't like it there. So do I want to move it this way or do I want to move it this way? Well, let's try moving it this way. And we'll kind of just rough it in there a little bit and rough these in a little more so we can tell that's what it is our fence. And then maybe we'll put another one over here that's a little bit bigger because it's a little bit closer to us. Maybe that's an idea. I don't know. If I was going to keep doing this a bunch of different ways, but right now we're going to call that one a thumbnail. And now we're going to do the portrait one. And roughly that's about third, so that's about where my horizon line is going to be. Again, I'm not putting that little tree in. This time this goes pretty much all the way across the page. It's a little bit above center. And then this fence comes in right about there and right about here. Now, this has the big tree coming up there. All its little branchy things. This one comes up here. One that's right by it. Then there's another one over here. Let's just get these in. Then there's all these tall green ones and some green ones in here. And a little one in there and all that. This has all that stuff growing in front of the fence post and behind the fence post, or the fence railings. Now, don't want that fence post there. Where am I going to put it? Well, let's try over here. I'm going to try kind of in between where those two are. And do I want another one? Well, let's try it. We can always nix it. I'm going to have it come off the page though, so because it's a little closer to us and it can be a little bit bigger. Could do something like that. Now that's one photo and how I maneuvered it. It's pretty quick, you can see. The next photo we're going to work on is this one. It's a picture of my son on the beach, very much backlit. Now in this one, I don't want him dead center. That's not a good place to put your focal point. I would like him to be this way or that way. I would like him to be up or down. So what I ended up doing is I nixed this tree entirely. I nixed this stuff down at the bottom. And then I tried moving him from one side to the other. Also, I straightened out my horizon line again. So let's get that. So the first option was moving him over to the right. And you can see I still have some of this stuff in the photo. I'm going to get rid of that. But I might keep that little bit right there because I think it's kind of a nice angle across the page. So we're going to work on that for that one. And the other one I was going to do is also in a portrait mode, and just focus on him. Forget that over there, forget the little bit down there, forget the little bit there, and just Ryan, the rock, and Lake Huron. So those are the two I'm going to do for this one. So let's start with this guy right here. And I will get 2 more boxes drawn in. This is really, really useful, especially if you are struggling, if something's not working in a painting. This can come in really handy to help you figure out what it is that might not be working. So we're going to do this one first. We're going to see where the water is. Put the horizon line up there. These just all happen to have the horizon line up high. Doesn't always work that way. The rock is kind of where that, if I were to draw my grid, the rock is kind of right where that would be. So see, that helped me determine that. So his head's up here. Now I'm not going to care about how wonderfully I get his body drawn in, because that is not what a thumbnail is about. It is about placement or color or value, not how well I've drawn my subject. And he is all solid, and this part of the rock is solid. And then there's this shadow of him that's coming off the side of the rock. That's kind of cool. Now, this one, I am going to put the tree in, so it's coming a little bit down here, and it's bushing out. A little bit cut off there, so we're just going to do that. There's a log there. I don't know if I'll do that or not. There's the shadow of the tree, bush-like thing. And then there's the beach that comes and kind of cuts in and out. And I don't have to have mine do the same thing. This is the wet sand line. And then over here we have the surf line. The two aren't necessarily the same thing. They weren't right then here. So I can do that like that. Now, if I squint my eyes, I see that this is a little darker here, but not real dark. This is real dark. That gives me an idea of that placement. Now let me try the other one. Okay, once again, let's get our rule of thirds here. And again, I'm going to straighten out the horizon and put it there. And he's more over on this line now. There's his head. He's a little bit bigger, so the rock is now more down here. And then the shadow is here. Now, you don't see the wet sand line as much because the wet sand, it's mostly off the page. So I am going to just do the surf. And then pretty much everything over here is wet sand. And everything over there is water. Now, these pictures didn't lend themselves to having the horizon down at the bottom, but you might have a scene where you have, let me flip this. I'll just do it in the middle. I do a lot of photography. I take a lot of pictures at the cottage and of the beach. And so a lot of times I'm trying to decide, do I want a little beach and a nice big sky, or do I want a little sky and a nice big beach? And I like to change it up, but generally speaking, if there's a really cool cloud formation, and there often is, then that would be when I would drop my horizon down and make the sky the emphasis. And then this would not be as big, and might not even make it to where the beach is. It might just be water. It just kind of depends on the picture. So thumbnails help you work that out, and that's why they're important. So next time you're struggling with a painting, trying to get something to work the way you want it to work, and you can't seem to something is wrong, try doing a thumbnail and see if that helps you out, because they really do let you work out things before you start painting. Or even if, like I said, if you have a problem, if you're going to try it again, they help you identify what you got wrong, and why it's bothering you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, I would love it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you want to be notified of future videos, hit the little bell. It really helps every little bit to get my channel going and growing, and that enables me to bring more content to you. And I do appreciate it. And if you'd like to check out my Etsy shop, that would be great too. I have prints of my artwork and some original artwork for sale there, along with a few other things like my monsters, my cute little monsters, and some little tin boxes with alcohol ink on them that you can put your paints in or your knitting stuff in. So anyway, give it a look, and that would be great. And thanks so much for watching.